Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Modern Manifesting with me, Kimberly Rolls. Why didn't they teach us this in school? And I am with my fellow spiritual seeker, Brad. And we are here today to talk about something that people don't often talk about when it comes to manifesting, and the inside work that has to do with manifesting. Because as you all know, I talk about the tools, I give you the tools, we talk about crystals, we talk about um, vision boards, and we talk about, meditation. And as you know, they're all tools, but the most important thing is to be able to be in your own identity to manifest. You have to know who you are. You have to you have to do the inside work first. And one of Brad's specialties is trauma. He's a trauma coach, and trauma you can't see is often the thing blocking the life that you're trying to call in. So, this episode is going to crack open the patterns that you've invented, the wounds that you've buried, and the energy that's been running the show without your permission. So, if you're manifesting from survival instead of truth, then this episode is for you. And I am going to hand it over to Brad. And Brad, if you want to just talk a little bit about yourself and what led you onto this path. And I know that you do many other things, and we can talk about as much or as little as you want, but I know that no one has tackled this specific topic yet. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. So as Kimberly said, my name's Brad. I've known Kimberly for quite a number of years now, and I've worked with her as well. So what I do is my business is Blue Fire Alchemy. So I make orgonite and I do energy sessions with my higher self and as well as with various masters. I also do coaching, one-on-one coaching, and that's through Warrior Within. Um, Now that I'm still working on putting together, I haven't decided whether I'm going to do its own website or whatever, but that's coming soon. For sure, that's coming soon. So basically, what Kimberly was saying there about trauma is so yeah, you do your meditations, you do your visualizations, you write things down, but do you get into habits of where you're trying to manifest something and then it looks like it's coming together, then something just stops it and it gets in the way and it's just like falls apart. And then you try it again, same pattern, and then you're in this cycle of building and then just plateau and nothing happening. Um, that can be rooted in your traumatic experience, maybe as far as back as your childhood. And one of the things that really opened up my eyes with that particular way of looking at it was a session I had maybe 3 months ago now. I'm not too sure how long ago it was. It was a havening session with a lady named Sheila Franzen, and I can manifest. As soon as I put my mind to something and I align with it,
Mhm.
it happens. As soon as that alignment is there, everything I need comes together.
The key, yeah.
But exactly. But there's some things that I've had troubles trying to manifest over the years, and I can't quite pinpoint it. And it's exactly like I just said about everything seems to come together and then just kind of stops or like plateaus. And no matter how much effort you put in or pull back or make peace with or clear, it just doesn't happen. And when I was having that havening session, I believe it's called havening
Yeah.
if I'm getting
I
that
would
right.
love to get Sheila on here and talk about that. Yeah.
For sure. We dove into my childhood, and so having very little memories of my childhood for the most part. One in particular, I do have that we use the havening to address and to clear. So basically, you're living your life. You're a child. You're happy. You're joyous, et cetera, et cetera. And then
Well, you
something.
think you are.
Well, exactly, you think you are, and then so for this particular one, something just kind of outside of greater than what myself was comes along and just changes your life. Um, so what I learned is that I've actually been repeating that cycle with certain things I've been trying to manifest. So basically, new idea comes along, you get happy, you get excited, you're manifesting, you're creating, you're putting in the actual work as well, not just thinking about it, et cetera, et cetera. And then something comes along and just stops it. Something greater than you. which it turned out was the pattern that I was in. With again, not all things that I've been trying to manifest, but definitely there's some things definitely this pattern's been hitting me with, and I've had a hard time trying to pinpoint
Yeah.
it. So going through that session and then seeing that and connecting all the dots really opened up my eyes for how the traumas that we carry, um, how much they affect us, even when we don't realize it. And a lot of people will say, well, I can't manifest. I can't this, it just doesn't work for me. Well, you're always manifesting. And one of the things that you're always manifesting could be not manifesting.
Exactly.
And so that kind of goes back to your mindset. And what gave you that mindset? What experience did you have prior to that mindset? Maybe a traumatic experience. It could be anything like that that created that mindset. And then now you're stuck in that cycle. So you're not manifesting the positive things you want, but you're manifesting negative experiences that you want that are limiting or you think aren't manifesting or inhibiting your manifestation, but you're actually manifesting it.
Yeah. Um, that happened to me as well. And in my situation, it happened to be with relationships. And actually, I think subconsciously I kind of knew, but I wasn't putting it together with the reality that I'm in now. Like subconsciously, I knew, and everyone that listens to the podcast, and you know already that I had a child when I was 16. So I was still in school. I was still living at home with my parents. I was the oldest, so I had brother and sisters that were younger than me. And um I kind of became, without knowing it, I started like taking care of everyone else. I was taking care of my brother and sisters because I was the oldest. Then I had my son
Mm-hmm.
and I was taking care of my son and taking care of da 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 da. And then after I moved out of my parents' house, I was young. I was still in my early 20s, but I had a child and I needed to be out on my own with my child. So that was the last home that I ever lived in, the actual safe, like I had a home with parents and people taking care of me. And once I
Mm-hmm.
left that, never again in my life. So it's been over 30 years. I've moved like 12 times in my life and never really had, so like a safety, like they call, when the root chakra, your safety, your family, your, you know what I mean? I never thought about this consciously all these years, that when they talk about, oh, think back to your childhood, I'm like, my childhood, like what you were saying earlier, I'm like, my childhood was fine. It was great. It was normal. We didn't have a lot of money, but I didn't even realize it back then.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because they did a good job of just,
Yep.
you know. But yeah, I never, and I also have had insomnia, like severe, like debilitating insomnia for over 20 years. No one can tell me why. I've had sleep studies. I'm on sleeping pills. And I
Mm.
think now, like you said, like also going through the sessions, I think it was because I wasn't at home. I didn't have it. I was now responsible for someone. I was out of the house. I was moving. I never had. I still don't.
Yep.
Like I just moved here in June. So I've been not, I've just been going, like just
Yep. Yep.
never feeling rooted.
Yep. Yep. Kind of like the central nervous system is still kind of it's going all the time instead of
Yes.
entering into like a relaxed state where it can kind of go
Yes.
and
Yes.
just breathe. Yeah.
Yes. And then when
Which
my
that'll affect your manifestations as well, your central nervous system.
Absolutely. It is. It's affecting like everything. Like I've like now that I know it's been easier, but it definitely, when I look back on, like I said, going back to relationships, it's been an issue for me to manifest a forever relationship. And I always thought it was me. Oh, I'm like not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm too fat. I'm not making enough money. I am not, like, it's always me. And I think it just had to do with, I was so used to taking care of other people, like I started saying, that I needed someone to take care of me, but like didn't realize that I wasn't allowing it to happen or was sabotaging it from, I don't know. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Once you moved out, you became so used to
Yeah.
being the one taken care of that
Yeah.
you couldn't switch and then allow the being taken care of come in.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, my mom passed away. And then my dad passed away, and I'm like, I literally have no one. Like, I'm freaking out. Um, and I'm still working on it. And like you said, like I manifest too. Like I can and like this house, like you, I think you know that I've always wanted to live by the beach, right? I've always wanted to live in my, and now, so side note, thank you also for working around the time schedule with me today, because I'm down at the beach. So I'm all excited because I don't have to deal with like snow anymore, and like feet of snow. And like we freaking get last night like feet, like a foot of snow out here. So I'm like, Brad, I gotta go out there and I gotta shovel and I gotta clean off my car because this is gonna turn to sleet. I can't even believe this is happening right now. So so I don't know if I'm the jinx down here bringing the snow down, because my landlord was like, we haven't had this much snow in like 4 years down here. I'm like, welcome. Thank you. Sorry. Anyway, side note.
All
Um,
right.
so I manifested my beach house, right? I got my beach house, and now I feel alone. And none of my friends live down here, and my family isn't down here, and I'm out there shoveling by myself, and I'm like, so it's like manifesting, like I said, like I had put podcast on my vision board. I've had beach house in my journals, beach house on my vision board. Yep, I manifested them, but it's more, what do you want? It's not just the beach house. It's like, what do you want? How do you want to feel? How do you want to live? Who do you want to be
Mhm.
around? Who do you want to be
Yep,
here with? Those,
yep,
that's really what you want to
yep,
manifest. It's not the thing.
yep, yep. And even the well, like I was saying before, like um, those patterns that you're having, anybody that is, and you may think that you're not able to manifest or you're having a hard time manifesting, but you're manifesting a lot, if not all of your conscious thoughts. So like the feeling like you're saying about alone, the
Mm.
more you focus on that, you're manifesting being alone. Yet people won't don't typically look at it that way.
No, it's tricky. I know.
They're because our feelings and our emotions, they affect us, and they affect us so closely, and that we're so connected to them. Sometimes it's hard to step away from them and be like, oh, wait a minute, I'm just doing this to myself. If I can say learn the lesson or clear this away, or realize that I'm not alone, or I have all these things around me, even if I'm alone and nobody's around me, I'm well looked after, I'm well
Yeah.
cared for, I'm loved. There's people around me. I'm, what's the opposite of being alone? You're surrounded. Let's say you're surrounded by people, um, and once you can more actualize that feeling, then that's going to draw in the
Yes.
opposite of being alone.
Self-love, right? It's like the
Yep.
hardest, I think it's one of the hardest, actually an episode that I want to do. It's one of the hardest things I think for people to get to understand, to comprehend what self-love really is, you know?
Yep.
I feel like just everything you're saying, I feel like I'm in a session with you right now. I feel like all this stuff is like coming up, like I want to have like a session right now.
We can do that another
Yeah, yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. I wanted to ask you about ancestral trauma. So
Okay.
stuff you're not even aware of can affect also. Like you don't
Oh,
even know, like
oh,
it's
for
not even
sure.
your fault. Like you're bringing it with you, or you're bringing it back from your ancestors to clear in this lifetime, right?
Yep. Yep. Well, they've proven that you carry in your DNA like up to like 20 generations of like memory in your DNA. So absolutely, that's another thing that can affect you, and that's something that over the years I've evaluated as well when I look at people in my family tree or things that I know of. Say going back to my Greek roots, back in Greece, because my family immigrated here from Greece, and how they lived over there, which was not the greatest. My uncles told me stories of having to kick a potato home just so he could have something to eat, type of thing.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? But so yeah, absolutely, you'll carry ancestral memory with you that can affect you in this lifetime as well. And that's another thing to stop and evaluate and clear. Like a
Yeah,
lot of people would say, "Oh, you're just like your father, your mother, grandfather, et cetera, et cetera." It's
yeah,
because it's coming down through your DNA, and it's affecting you as well. So that's another thing that can potentially, depending on what it is, can interfere with what you're trying to create in your lifetime. So like I said about you're always manifesting something, but it depends on, are you manifesting your heart's desires, or are you manifesting like your mind and your emotions, your fears or your insecurities.
Yeah, and I know this, and it's so hard when you are a coach. Like I say this all the time. Sometimes, being who we are, being a coach, being what we know and who we are, people I think feel like we should have our shit all together. We should have
Mhm.
everything we want. We shouldn't have, but like you said, like we're carrying stuff too, and I think coaches need coaches, and we like you were talking about the words, like saying when I said, I feel alone. You're right. Like that is not something because the universe is only hearing, okay, Kim, you're alone.
Yep.
I'm gonna give you
And then
some
you're
more
brought
alone.
in.
Let me give you some more alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that feeling, like it's just life will create situations to reinforce that feeling
Yes.
and that experience, and then we feel it more, we think it more, we engage with it more, and then it puts it back out to the universe, and it's like almost like an echo chamber between you and the
Yes.
universe,
Ping
and it
pong.
just reverberates back and forth. It's noticing that, and then
Yeah.
trying and putting forth the effort and changing that, changing your thoughts,
Yeah.
changing your mental patterns, and also identifying. A big one that I worked on with years ago was I had a pattern a large pattern that I was working on, and once one particular thought process would come up, I eventually realized, okay, I know what's coming next. I know what's coming next. And bing, 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 the dominoes would fall. And once I could identify it, it was so much easier to clear.
You just hit the nail on the head. That's what I was gonna say. Like, I think people think that you have to have all your shit together. Like, you have to have the answer. Like, you have to never say, I feel alone. It's more catching yourself. When you now are in that habit of knowing you're saying it, catching it, and stopping it, like,
Yeah.
that's already
No,
like
exactly.
reversing the process. Like, catching
Yep.
it is the biggest thing
Yep.
and
Yep.
realizing it.
Yep. And we're as humans, we're going to have negative thoughts and negative emotions and
Sure.
patterns and stuff. It's really how much do you give yourself to it and allow yourself to be pulled into that undertow of
Yeah.
it, which
Yeah.
happens, until we identify it. We're in that undertow of some of them. And then what matters is identifying them and working towards changing them.
Um, Another thing that you and I were talking about earlier, I think I don't know, it was I think the last time we spoke, was power,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
personal power. How huge is personal power when it comes to like manifesting or just even just like like living and getting through day to day? Your personal power is everything.
yep,
You were talking about
for
coach.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and that ties into like personal empowerment.
Yes.
It filters everywhere in your life and your experiences. And so the one thing that I'm very big on is power, wisdom, and love. So the more that you understand power, so self empowerment, let's just say, so power, the more you understand your self empowerment, what self empowerment is, being empowered, and that also, the more you learn about what the difference between, say, wisdom and just having intellect. You know what I mean? Ha, Seeing a situation in your life and being able to stop and have like a one-on-one conversation, say, with yourself and myself, and coming up with a wiser way of dealing with it, as opposed to just a knee-jerk response.
Yeah.
um, and then also love, so power, wisdom, and love. The more you learn about love, say, like self-compassion, loving, just being in a loving state, period, not necessarily towards anything or anyone, but just radiating and emanating more love in general. The more you practice or learn about, or what's the word I want, express personal empowerment coming from a place of wisdom instead of just intellectual knee-jerk responses, and rooted more in love and compassion, the more those come together, and that unlocks what I call the warrior within, or your empowered self.
Mm,
So when you're manifesting, are you are you manifesting from your mind and your emotions and your responses, or are you manifesting from a place of empowerment?
yeah. Yeah, that's huge. That sentence right there was huge, and it just brought me back to so many situations, even just recently. I really go out every day. when I'm driving. I literally get in the car and I'm like, higher self, like help me come from love, speak from love, see from love, like say, like 'cause every day, like I just know something's gonna, and I feel like when you are when you are love and you're coming from love and you're being love, it's I don't want to go long with this, but I have so much to say, but I feel, and I know you're gonna know, but I don't want to keep everybody like bored, not bored, but I don't want to make this long, but so here's two examples. So I can go into work and it is like, I don't know who's gonna be listening to this. Let's just say people who aren't on, who aren't on this path, who are not like awakened, right? Who are still kind of like sleeping and still in the 3D, like, let me get up, go do this, to get and go to bed, right? They kind of can bring down your energy if you don't like start your day automatically like clearing. I like literally will like kind of like put a fake like I zip my energy like right up so like nobody can like even get into like my aura, you know what I mean? And I feel like there's like this group of, so there's like say someone, so you go into work and you get one group of people that like, man, all day long it's like they can tell that you are light and love and they hate everything about it, so they do nothing but like try and make you miserable and tear you down all day. And then I'll go, like for instance, like I went to my son's job last week. I stopped by, I had to stop in and see him, and it's a totally different kind of business and they're like nonprofit and they're like save the world type people. But I walk in there and I could just like be, I walk in there like, they call me mom. I mean, they're older than me, but they know I'm my son's mother. So they're like, hi, mom. And I'm like, and they're like hugging me and they're like, and I'm just like, man, like, what a difference between the people that are like awake and the people that don't know yet. And just like you said, like we are like living on this earth, we are still like human beings, even though we're like spiritual, we're like in this human body, like still having to try and like break through every day, like trying to be
Yep.
love, spread love.
Yep.
It's they know, they know, they subconsciously know, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, our love, our light, and just trying to be that all day. Sometimes it's exhausting. It's
Oh, for
exhausting,
sure.
Brad.
For sure. Well, see, that's the thing too, that some people's darkness, or like the darker side of the psyche of like consciousness, will get very uncomfortable with
Yeah.
being around other people's light, because
Yeah.
on a subconscious level and on unconscious level, they know that person has, say, more integrity than them. They know that person's more honest than them. They know that person's coming from a more genuine, caring place, as opposed to them who are, say, more judgmental, and the negative side of judgmental. Like, obviously you go through life, you have to judge things or discern things, as I prefer to say, but the word judgment gets a bad rap, but
Sure.
that's because it's mostly used in a negative way. But those individuals, they're just more rooted in those more negative mental and emotional patterns, and then when they see people, it just mirrors the unhealed parts of themselves.
Exactly.
And that's another thing with where are you manifesting from? Are you manifesting from your head, your emotions, your patterns, like negative patterns, or are you rooted more so in your heart and and manifesting from a more empowered place? So people like that would be an example, and I've known people like that as well. They're just stuck in this negative cycle, and not that all aspects of them are negative, but they have, negative parts of them.
Mhm.
It comes up when around people that are more healed in those areas. And so, yeah, they're manifesting experiences based off their emotional wounds, the things that need to be healed, and their mental emotional wounding.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
And in some ways, see, that's a good opportunity when you say about being more love or expressing more love. So, and I'm not perfect for this either, but when you see a situation, let's say a hypothetical coworker or somebody that you know, when you see those things, instead of going with your own, and this goes for anybody, um, instead of going with your own immediate reaction, which could be, a bit of a smirk or whatever type of reaction, or some, some words with it. Stop and catch yourself, and then instead of sending them that kind of response, stop and hold a space of, love and compassion and acknowledgement that what you're seeing is just an unhealed part of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I was gonna ask you if you had any pointers, and that is a good one.
Mhm. Yeah,
I'm
so instead of sending something that would be negative, or just expressing something that would be negative, and again, we're not all perfect. I'm not perfect either with that. It's an opportunity to for me to look at myself and be like, oh, I
yeah,
got to clear this little pattern here, and then, okay, so I address it. But when you see that, it is an opportunity to express, say, love and gratitude or compassion instead of just going with the patterns.
yes. And I actually noticed that when you say that, I was just thinking about when I do that at work. If I know I keep using work as the example because
The hypothetical work, you're speaking to all of us.
yeah, yeah.
I know
Um,
what you mean.
yeah. Um, I notice now some of the girls in the office, or even the guys too. I don't see them as much. That's the only reason why I say the girls, but I notice them saying, like, if say, all right, somebody knew that we were going to get this storm this weekend. And so they were already being negative about it and like, oh, I got to, and well, we'll see, I hope they pave the parking, plow the parking lot before we come in on Monday because so and so fell and they're lucky they didn't put in a claim against them and da 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 da. And one of the girls in the office said, can we just be positive? Can we just say, and I'm like, wow, maybe this stuff is rubbing off a little bit. Because I do go in here and like try and like try and be like, positive Kimmy,
Yep,
It
yep.
does.
And
It
sometimes too, like with what you're saying, what I'm getting from that girl is, I'm getting that she sees it as well. She sees the dynamic of the, I'm just going to say toxicity, but she doesn't want to be singled out as the nice person, as the positive person, because one of her coworkers is probably singled out as the positive person and gets discriminated against. So she's just kind of going along with it, but she sees that, maybe we should be more positive.
yeah. Yeah. No, we could see. So even though we don't realize coming from love or just being in our integrity, like you said, it we don't might not notice, but it does rub off
Yep,
when we
yep,
don't even it is rubbing off. It is, and that's what we're really here to do, right? Is
for sure, for sure.
spread this. So yeah,
And that's a big thing too. It's like just kind of be in that space and
yeah,
just let it kind of radiate out for
yeah,
sure. And then the more you can do that, the more you can be in that space. Like I said, your empowered self or your warrior within, the more like everything just flows better. And then when you're in that flow, the things that you want to create in your life, it just creates like a nice lubrication, and it just happens more freely.
yeah. Wow. So, I'm glad that you brought this up because I never really, I don't really hear people. I mean, here and there in within context of another subject, I would hear about trauma and how it affects manifestation, but I've never actually heard a whole podcast or episode or show on trauma and effect. It's all kind of when people talk about trauma, it turns into something like it's negative. And I'm
Yeah.
saying you know what I mean? When you think of trauma, you think it's negative, negative. But I like the way that you're turning like subconscious and conscious and ancestral trauma into bringing, power, love, wisdom, bringing in your personal power and flipping that, because it's true. Trauma isn't negative per se. It just is what it is. It's like,
Yeah.
being deaf or being like it's just a thing. It's something that you know what I mean? Like it's just a thing. Like you're
It's what
missing a
you make out of
tooth.
it. It is
Yeah,
what you make out of it.
yeah,
Like me coming to the place of power, wisdom, and love, and building off on that philosophy, I actually realized that how I was shown to follow that venture, that avenue, was I was shown everything I've gone through in the past, let's say, decade, which is a lot of heaviness. And I may have talked to you about some people in my family and how they are, and or one particular individual that is, and what I've
yeah.
experienced with that person. and having to overcome that.
Mm.
I kind of joke, it's like, I spent the last 10 years as Gandalf battling the Balrog,
Yeah.
because that's kind of the equivalent there.
Yeah.
Um, but it was actually teaching me through life uh, power, wisdom, and love,
Yeah.
and how to bring all those together, find your center. And even though all that's going on around you, you can still be here in your center. And as long as you're here, like
Yeah.
this is the most powerful place you could be in.
Yeah. It's hard to believe that we chose to come back and learn. And that's the thing you have to remember too. Like you said, like, there's someone in my family too, but we made a deal with them, like, hey, you come back and teach me this and I'll come back and teach you that.
Oh,
So
100%.
yeah. So not what's the word? Ostracizing them, but more
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
trying to learn from, because they might not
Yep.
consciously remember that, but we know
Yep.
that, you know what I mean? So when you coach on trauma, or when you do these sessions, do you also do when you do you help the person find that the deep-rooted trauma and then clear the pattern, or
Yes, if that's something that's on the table, then absolutely. Like if they want to go into the energy side of it as well, we can do that. That's totally up to their decision. You know
okay,
what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, pattern clearing, it's like an ongoing, never-ending thing, it seems like. But because
Oh, it is.
like,
It is.
right, like you find one and then you find it, and then you're like, oh, but then underneath there's that, and then underneath there's that, it's like sometimes it's exhausting, but it's so helpful. And you do notice a difference once you start peeling them
Doing
back
it. Yeah.
and yeah, clearing them.
And
Um,
then there's cellular memory that's connected to it as well, because
right?
cellular memory gets created as well, and
Mm.
you're holding on to that.
Yes. Yeah, we're holding on to a lot of like for our ancestors, for us, for our cellular, like it's a lot of clearing, I know. Um, so I mean, I would go to you for this clearing, and I'm so glad that you talked to me about this. And for anyone that I work with, I've worked with Brad, and I've worked with Brad, like he was saying earlier, not just not on the coaching, not just the coaching, but like I mean, there's a lot. Like I don't know I don't know how deep I want to go with this. But also, I mean, I think I did a video. I think I did I did a reel on the orgonite that you created and the pyramids and just clearing. I know this isn't on like EMFs and stuff like that, but I just want to throw out there, since we're on the call with Brad, that also if you are having, areas of like with me with my sleep, like I did notice that I do tend to have a lot of plugs, things plugged into my bedroom, which could totally be, a factor in my sleep issues. I do
Yep.
have like your organite like all around. I have it right underneath my alarm clock. I have like, so there's just so much more to Brad that like we don't even have time to go into, but I just wanted to like throw that out there. So it's worth even going to your website, like Blue Fire, which I will put in the notes, Blue Fire Alchemy, and at least I know there's to reach out to you, you have a section to just put like their name, contact, and a message to
Yep.
you, and then you
Yep.
can take it back to them, and then you guys can decide from there, like whatever you think is best for them or what they are looking for from you.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
anything else that you want to say before?
Well, you brought up the organite, and just to kind of stick.
I know I had to because it was like it's like like I have it everywhere. I even have like the necklace. I have like everything.
Um, my favorite my favorite type of piece is to create our pendants,
Yes.
like personal protection,
Yes.
and having organite, whether it's mine or somebody else's, it's a great way just to raise your vibration.
Yeah.
It kind of helps just lift you up that little bit extra, and by doing so, that can also help you identify patterns, like with your vibration raised up. That don't not necessarily the organite itself, but like having your vibration raised up is what I mean. And whatever that may be, whether it's organite getting out into nature or whatever, or combining a bunch of things together, by raising up your vibration that way is another way to help you identify and clear and feel more empowered for clearing patterns, going out and doing the work too, because when manifesting, it's not necessarily all about just having positive thoughts and writing something down. You got to put in the effort as well. So
Exactly.
like if you want to get in better shape, you don't just, visualize yourself in better shape. You got to go to the gym or the class or like whatever it is, and
Do
go to
it.
the kitchen with the food and stuff.
Yeah.
You
I wish
know,
I could
and
just
so yeah,
envision it.
I know, right? It'd be a lot easier.
That was a good one though.
But yeah, no, but having your vibration or the space that you're in and the vibration, the energy's cleared, so that heavy gunk, because that's another thing too that can trigger our patterns is just getting into a space that's kind of thick and heavy. That gunk can affect us,
Yeah.
and then that can trigger our patterns as well. Like you were saying about in the hypothetical workplace, um, that can bring up parts of ourselves, which is a blessing because then when we see something come up, we know, oh, this thing external to me is hooking into me. What do I have to do inside of me so this way it doesn't hook into me? That's where you want to look. Like I totally believe in changing your surroundings and people in your lives and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But at the same time, if you don't have enough healed within, you're just going to draw in another person that's just
Exactly.
like that, or another situation or whatever until you heal what's here. So your first place to look should be inside and then follow where that hook is and then address the hook and then it releases.
Yes. This is, I mean, like you're making me want to do a session right now. So anyone who's listening, you're hooking us right now with this. Like,
Not my intention. No
no,
hooks are
I
going.
know, but just like listening to you makes me, it gets me like very excited. And actually, as you're talking, I'm like thinking about my pendant and I'm like, damn, I haven't actually worn that to work in a while. Like, that's a good day. I always wear it when I'm like going away, when I travel or when I'm going somewhere. I always have that, you know?
Hmm.
But now you got me like, oh, I should go get that. Like every time you say something, I'm like, yeah, I gotta do that. Yeah, that's right. So I had to have you on here because you're just a wealth of information. You've just been doing this for so long. You're such a high um initiate. And I learned so much from you, even just doing the chambers. And we won't, I know that's another whole thing, but we won't get into. But
We'll do another one down.
yeah, I know there's so much.
In the light chambers, we can even segue that into manifestations because of the way that it completely recalibrates your being on an level because it addresses the like everybody's geometry. Everything in creation is geometry, sacred geometry. You as a
Sure,
being, your
sure.
Merkaba is
Absolutely.
a tetrahedron. So it addresses you right down onto like that quantum blueprint level and then recalibrates you and all kinds of changes happen from there. So we could like even segue into
I
that as
know.
well.
Like
We'll
now
do
you're
that
getting
another.
me. I'm like, because I was just listening to something the other day. I know. See, I knew this was gonna happen. I know we had a time that, but I'm like, oh, this is gonna be like, because there's so much. But I don't know. Have you ever heard of this? Like, I was just listening to something the other day, and they were talking about actually speaking of sacred geometry and the Merkaba and even our spine. Our spine are actually key. Like scientists are realizing, like our spine are actually keys. Like our spinal cord. Like everything is like I forgot how they worded it. I would have to like Google it or GP chat or whatever
Mhm.
it is these days, AI, whatever. But I was literally just listening to something that was saying like everything in our body is sacred. Well, it's sacred geometry, but something about our spine and everything is like keys. Like everything is so perfectly planned. Shit that we don't think about or worry about. Like we don't worry about like when we go to bed. I don't know where I'm going right now. I don't know why this is coming to me, but it just is. So I'm just gonna say it because you know how it goes, right? So like when we go to bed, we're not worried about, oh my God, am I gonna continue to breathe tonight? Is my heart gonna continue to beat tonight? Like we don't worry about shit like that. Like we just know that the universe is just perfectly like everything is just already perfectly like done. So like why do we like I mean, I worry. So I mean, I'm being a hypocrite kind of by saying this, but I'm acknowledging that I do it and I'm stopping it. But I'm just saying it's like so like I mean, we could go so many places with this. Like the it's so like all that is God creator whatever is so perfectly has everything so like we're not worried about gravity going away and us floating up into the air every day. Like we know the gravity's going to be there when we wake up in the morning and we're gonna unless we're like sick or meant to die that our heart is going to beat and our lungs are going to work and we're going to breathe, you know what I mean? I don't even know where I was going with that, but it had something to do with the spine and the keys and everything in our body is so perfectly already taken care of that we don't worry about it and we just kind of not take it for granted. We do take it for granted because we don't think about it. And the stuff that we want, that's what we're like. think that
Yeah.
we can't have. I think this had to do maybe with something with like money manifestation or creating money, and how like money we believe is like outside of us, that it's something that we
Mhm.
have to go work and earn, and it's not. Like money has no power. I'm going into a whole different episode here. I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to say, because now I already opened my mouth, that money has no power. We give it power. Money is literally
Yep.
like, sometimes it's not, it's paper. Sometimes it's not even paper anymore. It's Venmo. It's like nothing. It's nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Money, currency, your financial wealth, et cetera. It's
Yeah.
all an internal vibration. It's how you
Yeah.
feel.
Bank account,
100%.
stocks, FICO
Yeah.
scores, all that is like,
Yep.
oh my God.
That's all just the external 3D world. So we have something to interact with. But
Hmm.
as far as anything else, it's really just how you feel
Yeah.
inside. So if you
Yeah.
have a day or a week or a month where you are like, oh, I don't have enough this, I don't have enough that, you're gonna have that experience and you're gonna
Exactly.
manifest. There goes back to the mental and emotional patterns. I
Yeah.
don't have enough, so you're gonna manifest lack. And
Yes.
then when you feel inside, if you look in your fridge, you're like, wow, look at all that stuff I have in my fridge, or look at all that whatever I have, and you genuinely feel that in your heart space, you're just going to keep manifesting more. It's like that echo chamber of
Yes.
creating more. Yeah, and that kind of goes back to, like I said, with the empowered self, the warrior within. Where are you manifesting from? Because you're always manifesting, whether it's from your head or from your heart space. You're always manifesting something, whether you realize it or not.
Yeah.
Where would you rather manifest from? You know, you that empowered self inside of you, and you're feeling it, and then the more you feel it, the more you create it, the more you bring it in. Or do you want to manifest from your head, your emotions, your fears, your insecurities, your lacks, et cetera, which will go out to the universe, and the universe will bring more of that in.
Exactly. This is really deep. This was like, I mean, I could talk to you forever and people would probably listen, but I know that I know people have these attention spans, or they're like driving to work right now or what, and they have to like shut it off. So, but we definitely have to continue this conversation, because like I could, I could just talk to you forever. So thank you so, so much. And it just like brings up, I get so excited talking to you, and I'm actually like ready. So when I stop, I'll like we'll talk about, doing this again.
Sure.
But I want to thank you so, so much for doing this with me, and again for accommodating my snow situation.
Oh,
And
no problem.
like I said, everybody, like God, when did was I think in like 2019 was probably the first time that I started working with you. And I started with the chambers, and went from there. And it just elevated my soul, my evolution, my manifesting abilities, my higher self, so much quicker working with you than possibly if I hadn't worked with you. So,
Mhm.
anyone, like I said to you all before, if you work with me, I'm bringing you the people that got, have taught me what I know, and got me where I am. And I know that when you listen to me, you believe me. Obviously, you're listening to me. So, here's my guy Brad, and he's my people, and I highly suggest getting a session with Brad. So I will drop your email in the show notes. And again, I am so appreciative of you being here. I love you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brad. I
Thank
will I will continue, we will continue this conversation further.
you.